across the harsh landscapes of Africa, where every movement can be a matter of life and death, confrontations unfold rapidly, leaving no room for error. A sudden lunge, a slight misstep, or even a momentary lapse in focus is enough to alter the entire situation in an instant. So, in those fleeting encounters, what truly determines who ultimately holds the upper hand? It is not speed, but a momentary lapse in vigilance that seals the zebra's fate on the savannah. Found primarily in Africa, zebras inhabit vast grasslands that offer clear sight lines, allowing them to spot predators early, with a top speed of around 65 kilometers per hour, not the fastest on the savannah, but sufficient for endurance and agile maneuvering. They maintain a safe distance through the herd's collective movement, right up until the pressure begins to mount. As that pressure builds, the lion doesn't charge immediately. Instead, it exploits the herd's movement patterns. A lioness lies low, stalking stealthily and waiting for the perfect moment. Once the gap narrows, she bursts into a short, rapid sprint to intercept the prey before it can react. Almost simultaneously, a male lion appears to cut off escape routes and close the space. Once the space is closed, the outcome becomes inevitable. Hemmed into a tight area, the zebra loses its ability to maneuver, and the remaining distance vanishes instantly. The hunt concludes as the two lions maintain close proximity, fully controlling their target. The events demonstrate that the deciding factor is neither raw speed nor individual strength alone. Zebras rely on visibility and movement rhythm to keep their distance, while lions rely on observation and coordination to close the gap. In the wild, the advantage belongs not to the strongest, but to the one who best controls positioning and timing in every fleeting moment. At water sources across sub-Saharan Africa, African buffalo must return daily to survive. They favor open areas that offer early visibility, yet this habit also makes their location easy to track. Unlike many other herbivores, buffalo do not prioritize flight. When threatened, they often turn to confront the danger, a choice that quickly places them within the lion's strategic sights. Trailing behind the herd, two male lions stalk an individual that has strayed from the group. They maintain their distance, adjusting their position relative to the wind, and wait for the prey to slow down before suddenly accelerating. A short, explosive charge brings the buffalo down. One lion pins the head to obscure its vision, while the other presses against its flank to suppress resistance. The buffalo bucks, stomps, and twists in an attempt to break free, forcing the lions to constantly shift positions to maintain their hold. As the struggle intensifies, the force of the confrontation mounts with the prey's desperate resistance. Suddenly, the herd turns back. Multiple buffalo charge in simultaneously, shattering the lion's grip. With the tide turning rapidly, the two lions are forced to release their hold and retreat, leaving the prey to be pulled to safety by the herd. This sequence highlights a crucial point. Buffalo rely not merely on individual strength, but on collective action to regain the upper hand, whereas lions gain their advantage through initial observation and coordination. While a single animal may be brought down, the herd can alter the outcome, and it is this dynamic that maintains the balance of survival. On the grasslands of the Serengeti and Tanzania, being part of a large herd does not always guarantee safety for wildebeest. They migrate seasonally, traveling thousands of kilometers in pursuit of water and grazing grounds. They maintain a steady pace and constant vigilance, relying on the herd to minimize risk. However, when their movement slows, particularly at shallow waterholes, this dense concentration creates opportunities for lions. At a shallow water crossing, the herd becomes trapped on slippery, narrow ground. The lions do not rush to attack. Instead, they observe from a distance, waiting for an individual to lose its position. When one animal falters, a lioness lunges in a short burst of speed, clamping down on the prey's neck. A male lion quickly joins the fray, coordinating from the rear to cut off any escape route. Trapped in the confined space, the prey cannot rejoin the herd. The wildebeest struggles and fights back, but the safety of the group is gone. The pressure is maintained until the prey weakens and is finally brought down, concluding the hunt. Throughout the encounter, the survival strategies of both sides are clearly evident. The wildebeest rely on movement and cohesion, while the lions capitalize on timing and coordination to break that formation. Nature's balance is maintained through these very moments of gaining and losing the upper hand. In the grasslands and semi-arid regions of Africa, gazelles inhabit open landscapes offering expansive visibility. They move in small groups, maintaining spacing and detecting danger early. Their inherently vigilant nature, prioritizing survival over recklessness, helps them avoid conflict. Yet moments of lapsed attention leave them vulnerable to the leopard. From the edge of the low grass, the leopard remains concealed, monitoring the herd for an extended period. It advances in short, stealthy steps, targeting an individual whose vigilance has faltered before launching a sudden dash once within striking distance. The gazelle leaps and darts erratically to escape, but within moments the gap closes and the chase transforms into a direct physical struggle. During the clash, the leopard brings its prey to the ground and secures a firm hold. The gazelle thrashes, attempting to rise and break free, but the predator's relentless grip gradually stifles its resistance. The hunt concludes with the prey fully subdued, providing the vital nutrition needed to sustain the predator and maintain the ecological balance of survival. In the savannas, open woodlands, and scrublands near water sources across sub-Saharan Africa, guinea fowl roam semi-open environments that offer relatively long-range visibility. Their stout, rounded bodies, weighing between 1 and 1.6 kilograms, provide stability while running on the ground. Although their short wings limit sustained flight, they can launch themselves rapidly to escape danger. This reflex serves as a last resort when a threat draws near. Concealed within the short grass, a leopard holds its position, observing the flock from a distance. It remains virtually motionless, maintaining its distance while waiting for a moment of inattention. As the guinea fowl take flight in unison, the leopard springs instantly upward, intercepting their escape path and snatching a bird mid-air. As the prey falls, the leopard secures its grip and quickly subdues the catch. The guinea fowl struggles briefly to break free, but its resistance is short-lived. The hunt concludes swiftly, providing the predator with vital energy and helping to maintain the ecological balance of survival. On the open savannas of the Serengeti, where visibility is unobstructed, cheetahs utilize the terrain to stalk prey from great distances. They primarily inhabit areas with little tall vegetation, where any movement stands out against the open landscape. With speeds reaching 95 to 110 kilometers per hour and explosive acceleration, their advantage lasts only 10 to 20 seconds, a limitation that compels them to choose the precise moment to strike. Given this time constraint, a female separates from the group and approaches the wildebeest herd in a wide arc. She keeps her body low, observing their movement patterns and waiting for a clear trajectory to emerge. Once close enough, she launches into an instant sprint, forcing the prey to run in a specific direction. The wildebeest constantly changes direction to escape, but even slight miscalculations allow the cheetah to rapidly close the gap. The chase quickly culminates in physical contact. The cheetah lunges to bring the prey down and maintains a firm hold. Other cheetahs close in immediately, applying pressure from multiple angles. The wildebeest struggles, attempting to rise and break free, but as the restraint persists, its resistance wanes. Once resistance fades, the outcome is swiftly sealed. Cheetahs rely not on endurance, but on their ability to capitalize on short bursts of speed. The prey provides the nutrition needed to replenish expended energy. This exchange maintains the balance of the survival cycle. In Africa's semi-arid regions, ostriches inhabit open terrain where speed is a crucial advantage. They often travel in small groups, sometimes alongside zebras and antelopes, to enhance vigilance. Their keen eyesight allows for early detection and avoidance of danger, yet any lapse in formation leaves them vulnerable to exploitation. Aware of the prey's superior vision, the cheetah relies on patience to manage the distance. It stalks along the edge of the grasslands, keeping its body low while tracking the group's movements. When a single bird drifts slightly out of formation, the cheetah launches a sudden dash. The ostrich accelerates in a straight line, but its escape route is cut off, and the gap closes rapidly. The distance vanishes, leading to direct physical contact. The cheetah closes in, topples the bird, and pins it down. The ostrich struggles, attempting to rise and break free, but relentless pressure wears down its resistance, sealing its fate. Everything hinges on a single point: who maintains better control during the decisive moment. A well-timed lunge, a reflex lagging by a fraction of a second, and the tide turns completely. In this realm, there are no second chances. There is only an outcome sealed in a single, solitary moment. The water's surface is calm, but even a small ripple signals a life or death moment. Hidden beneath the water's surface, crocodiles remain motionless, patiently waiting for the opportune moment to strike. They don't need chasing or strength. A single, precise attack is enough. When prey inadvertently crosses the boundary between shore and water, the tide can turn in an instant. So what determines who gains the advantage in these brief encounters? Crocodiles live in rivers, lakes, swamps, estuaries, and wetlands in Africa, Asia, the Americas, and Australia. They prefer areas with murky water, dense vegetation, and plenty of hiding places to blend in with their environment. During the day, crocodiles usually bask in the sun to regulate their body temperature, then quietly return to the water's surface, patiently waiting for the right moment to hunt. Crocodiles are perfected for a patient ambush hunting style. They can remain motionless for extended periods, only exposing their eyes and nostrils above the water's surface before launching a lightning-fast lunge when prey is close enough. Their powerful bite, precise reflexes, and ability to sense vibrations give them a constant advantage over many other animals. Every dry season, across the vast grasslands and semi-arid regions of East Africa, herds of wildebeest migrate through the Serengeti and Masai Mara in a familiar cycle. Over 1 to 1.5 million wildebeest follow one another in search of water and new pasture. Before reaching the river, the entire herd slows down and congregates in a narrow passage. The distance between the wildebeest shortens. The risk increases at the water's edge. Beneath the murky water, the crocodile lay low to the bottom, barely moving. Only its eyes and nose were visible, monitoring the distance. As the herd of antelopes began to cross the river, the flow became chaotic. One antelope stepped further than the rest and slowed down. The distance was no longer maintained. The water surface burst, and the crocodile attacked at the point of contact. Holded down, the antelope tried to turn. Its movement gradually became uncontrollable. The slippery mud reduced its kicking power. The current held its feet. The resistance shortened. The movements became disjointed. The outcome clearly belonged to the crocodile. At the boundary between land and water, any chance of escape ended at that moment. Burst, and the crocodile... In the vast savannas of Africa, buffalo move in large herds, consistently following water sources in familiar cycles. An adult weighs 500 to 900 kilograms, with enough force to knock away other predators. This strength provides a sense of security when approaching a river. But once the entire herd begins to enter the water, the risk increases rapidly for those who stray from the group. Beneath the river's surface, the crocodile held its position close to the bottom, almost invisible. It watched the herd's rhythm. When one stepped deeper and slowed, a protective gap appeared. A brief pause, no clear sign. As soon as the center of gravity shifted downward, the water burst. The crocodile lunged, locking its hind legs in place. With the hold, the buffalo tried to turn back to shore but lost its balance. The current held its legs, the pulling force deflecting its movement. Each resistance shortened. The distance to the bank did not decrease. The escape attempt stopped there. The outcome favored the crocodile. The moment of impact had shaped the entire result. Unlike many predators, the cheetah relies on speed and timing to survive. It strikes quickly, finishes quickly, and retreats before another predator appears. After each successful hunt, it only has a few minutes to eat before being detected. Therefore, the cheetah usually chooses weak or out-of-tune prey, carefully observes the timing, and finishes it off in a very short time. And its need for water forces it to approach the river's edge. At the river's edge on the Savannah, the crocodile had already positioned itself, barely moving. It watched every movement along the river's edge. After a long run, the cheetah descended to drink. It looked around, then paused briefly. The moment its head lowered, the water splashed. The crocodile lunged, locking onto the point of contact. After the initial contact, the cheetah tried to spring back away from the water's edge, but the leverage wasn't enough to maintain balance. The crocodile held on tightly and pulled it off course, rendering the quick reaction ineffective. The cheetah couldn't escape. The outcome favored the crocodile. The situation was decided from the very first moment of contact. In sub-Saharan Africa, wild dogs live in grasslands, savannas, and open forests, moving in organized packs. In the Serengeti, they spread out in open spaces to control their direction of movement and adjust their position very quickly when the situation changes. They move continuously in open spaces, utilizing the terrain to maintain formation and control direction in all situations, until they approach a water source. Just below the water's surface, the crocodile was already in position, keeping its body low and barely moving. It silently observed as each wild dog approached to drink. One dog went ahead, stepping closer and then slowing down. The moment the wild dog lowered its head to drink, the water splashed, and the crocodile lunged, seizing its prey. The dog held captive tried to retreat towards the shore but lost its balance. The slippery mud reduced its kicking ability, and the current held its feet. The remaining dogs pressed against the water's edge, reacting quickly but unable to make a difference. The resistance shortened. The struggle quickly weakened. The outcome favored the crocodile. At the water's edge, quick reactions were insufficient to reverse the situation. In the grasslands and savannas of sub-Saharan Africa, hyenas are well adapted to open spaces and long-distance vision. They move nimbly, constantly observing and assessing to decide whether to hunt or steal prey. Their ability to remember food locations and coordinate in groups allows them to exploit the mistakes of their rivals to gain an advantage with less energy expenditure, making every decision carefully calculated before approaching. On the dry grass, the crocodile crawled ashore, lay still near the water's edge, and spotted a hyena feeding on a carcass above. It advanced slowly, keeping its body close to the ground to get closer. The hyena continued to eat but had to adjust its pace, gradually increasing the pressure. As the hyena took another step, the crocodile lunged, forcing it back and taking a position close to the food source. After the initial pressure, the hyena changed direction, circling to find a way back, but the advantage was gone. The crocodile turned, blocking its path and holding its position, interrupting every attempt. The pace of approach slowed, forcing the hyena to retreat. The outcome favored the crocodile. The advantage remained until the hyena left the area. Lions are found throughout Africa, concentrated in the Serengeti, Masai Mara, and many open areas. They approach prey at points where they are forced to slow down, such as riverbanks. The pride may try multiple times, adjusting their position and approach angle until they gain the advantage. As they get closer to water, the distance to danger begins to narrow and pressure increases. On the shore, the crocodile lay basking in the sun, keeping its body low, facing the approaching pride of lions. The formation was wide, the pressure increasing. The crocodile turned, maintaining distance. The formation paused briefly. At that moment, it lunged forward, breaking the gap. The lions in front retreated. The situation quickly shifted to a brief standoff. Then, a forced retreat. Under repeated close approaches, the lions could not maintain their stable position. The crocodile maintained the gap it had created, then swiftly slid into the water. In seconds, it disappeared. The water surface became calm again. No lions were held back. At the water's edge, where the advantage was unclear, the outcome was decided the moment the gap was broken. Between East and South Africa, impalas live in grasslands, scrubland, and open woodlands. In the Serengeti, they position themselves near the edge of the scrubland to both forage and have a retreat route. Their jumping and changing of direction abilities help them react quickly. However, as they approach the water's edge, the safe space narrows, and the risk begins to increase. Right at the water's edge, the crocodile maintained a low position, almost completely concealing its body. It wasn't in a hurry, waiting for the distance to shorten. As an impala gently separated from the safe edge and lowered its head to drink, the distance continued to narrow, bringing the situation to a near-close approach. At that moment, the water surface surged, pulling the entire action into deeper water. At the initial point of impact, the impala recoiled but lost its footing, causing its trajectory to deviate. The slippery mud reduced its kicking force, while the current held its feet. The reaction time became less effective, and the struggle shortened. The outcome favored the crocodile. The situation was established right at the water's edge. Throughout the situation, the difference lay not in speed or leaping power, but in the control of distance. Once the safe point was abandoned, the chance of turning back was almost non-existent. Therefore, at the boundary between land and water, the outcome was already decided before the action ended. Every crocodile hunt shows that victory doesn't always belong to the strongest or fastest. With patience, near-perfect camouflage, and incredible precision, they turn ordinary moments into decisive opportunities. On the boundary between land and water, every movement can be a signal of danger. Just one wrong step or a moment of carelessness can determine the outcome.